What is up, folks? Welcome back to another live stream repair. And of course, welcome back, Stefan. First fella in the chat, of course. Yes, welcome to a little Sunday stream. We are going to... Well, we had a bunch show up on Friday, and we didn't get to any of them, of course. Planned on getting to most of this Monday or tomorrow, but to heck with it. Let's go ahead and fix a few things here today. Also, my wife left for a little bit, so we've got some time to mess around here. Alright, so first up is going to be 3663 with, I believe, some sort of bad bass. Let's plug that in and get it going while we get everything situated here. So we're going to have this one with some sort of bad bass, and then up next we'll have 3662 with no power. And then 3660 is a brick. Oh, that's Tony. Got Tony with a bricked HomePod. 3635 has some bass issues or bad DC filters. Some sort of one of the two, we'll see. And then we've got Rod with 2 HomePods. There we go.
I'm having trouble connecting to the...
Alright, so that sounds a bit poppy, kind of muffled, kind of bad. I'm hoping that subwoofer is still good, but it doesn't really sound all that well. Could just be bad filters, but let's see here. Let's go ahead and message number 3663 here. They said put their first name on it, but I, silly me, did not get their name yet. So I would wager a guess. Maybe that's an Ian. But let's go ahead and let them know that they are up first here. If they drop their name, we'll change that for them. Here we go. Alright, so, and then we've got 3662 up next. Alright. I think emails and text messages for the first few folks have been handled. Let's go ahead and get this taken care of here. So right off the bat, I see a pretty good crack on the corner here, so I'm going to pick somewhere else to start prying. I don't want to make that any worse. We'll start right before it. Perfect. CRT repair. I've never worked on CRTs myself, but a handy cam CRT. I mean, vaguely from what I can maybe recall. I guess maybe CRT failures are usually flyback transformer related. I really don't know anything about CRTs. I'm pretty much blowing smoke, to be honest. Obviously, I've had plenty of time with my own CRTs growing up. I'm just that age. I think, as a matter of fact, our family TV was a CRT until long after I moved out of that house. After I turned 17, and I think even long after they moved out of that house. Up to like frickin' 2010, 2013, somewhere around there. Ooh, that woofer is roasted. Let's go ahead and just grab another one here. I know it's gonna need it. Where may I find another woofer? We got this guy with no power. So their bass speaker is almost certainly good still. Let's go ahead and take that one. Give me a good bass speaker. Oh yeah. Alright, I'll drop that back in there so I know what's wrong with it for future parts needs. Let's get 3663 back over here and get it fixed up. Oh, no rubbing alcohol makes this way more difficult. I gotta say, I've been spoiled by that stuff. That's actually what when my wife's out getting right now is getting some more rubbing alcohol and some dye. Don't get too excited though. It's the dye's for herself. She's got some stuff to color up. Ooh, that is stinky. Stinky and crunchy. Into the pile of stinky, crunchy subwoofers to stink up my room and give me more health problems. Let's get this ripped apart the rest of the way. These subwoofers don't just have a meltdown like this on their own. And if we just slap in another subwoofer, the replacement's going to have the same problem shortly down the road. And we're going to be sitting here doing the same thing over and over and over again. We need to get to the amplifier and replace the DC filters that have gone bad and caused that. They love to go bad over time because the DC filters that Apple used on these Class D amps are ceramic capacitors. They all love to naturally decay and go bad, whether they're being used or not. They have a shelf life. And these are the kinds of problems that they cause. So the rest of the HomePods we'll work on today. We'll get new filters also, since they go bad often enough. It warrants replacing them whenever you've got the chance. So we've got a few no power pods that'll get new filters. Of course, they all get new filters. Ooh, that's stinky. Even have a streak of smoke on the amplifier board from stinky. Black iPod Hi-Fi dying stream one. Ooh. Do not tempt me, do not tempt me. It is absolutely feasible too. All we need to do is gut a HomePod and boil it for 30 minutes in water. If the plastic survives, that's the concern. Can we get the water hot enough to make the plastic take the color without warping the plastic? Ooh, let's fix that camera, it's all wonky. And deactivate. That's a lot better. Phantom Black HomePod. Yeah, the wife's brought that idea up a few times too. Alright, that 10 ohm resistor is looking just sketchy enough that I'm gonna have to replace that. Tayo, welcome back, and ooh. Ooh. Not here, no thank you. We'll save that for the OnlyFans, yeah. Alright, last but not least, we've got a 46K dated diode here waiting to fail and cause power issues. So we'll get that replaced with a new one that won't give them another reason to send this HomePod back into us. And that'll wrap it up. The 10 ohm resistor sometimes gets a little toasty or blows up completely when those filters go bad and the subwoofer's roasted. It's just something you want to keep an eye on whenever you've got one apart. Particularly when you're replacing a subwoofer, you want to check that guy. Chances are it got blown up with it. But it's not something we need to replace every time. It doesn't fail on its own. It usually only fails when those filters go bad. As a result of them going bad, I should say. I think Shuffle Hands is okay. Give him a sec. Alright. I did see that. And I haven't played any of the Grand Theft Auto games, so they can take their time.
connecting to the internet.
There we go.
I'm having trouble connecting to the... I'm having...
We got some good bass back into that HomePod. Let's move on to the next one. We've got 3662 with no power. Coming up next is going to be Tony. So let's take a look at 3662 here now. What have we got? No lights, no power. Couple of watts from the wall. That all looks like the usual dead diode. Oh, we've got another one of those weird cases where Apple thought the drawstring wasn't long enough on this one, so they tied a little bit of extra, oh wow, black onto both ends of the drawstrings on this one. Look at that. And then they turn around and cut them right to the ends on the second gen so that we can't pull them back together. They play with us, I swear. Man, this is hard without any alcohol. Yeah, that's bone dry. Oh. There we go. Release. Give it up. Open, you bastard. Man, I haven't fought one that hard in years. I need that alcohol. This is insanely stupid. There are other ways you don't need alcohol, but they take way, way too long. I.e. wrapping it in a heating blanket and waiting for it to soften up that way. I can't even hold my screwdriver straight. That took way too much out of me. And then it just comes right out. That's so dumb. Like, look at this. This is obnoxious. There's literally no good reason for them to have done this. There's a gasket underneath. They glued it together so you couldn't take it apart. And it, in turn, made it too difficult for themselves to take it apart. So they ended up not even fixing any of them. And they were like, how can we make this easier for us to take apart without the customer, without it making it too easy for the customer to take apart? We'll cut the drawstrings too short. Gosh, I hate this stuff. Alright, that will work. Alright, hard part's over. It's all downhill from here. Let's get it some new filters and then we'll flip it around and get it a new diode. That'll fix it up nice. No, those are some good quote shirts. I won't lie. I see you, you little blob. Come here. Otherwise, perfect. Beautiful, fantastic. Let's get this back together and get on with the next one. Give me that back. Thank you. The indestructible Richard Nixon, welcome to the stream. You got a few boards going here. You've got this ring board right here is the main amplifier board, which technically it actually houses, each speaker has its own dedicated amplifier. So it's really a board of amplifiers. Then you got this board here. This is the microphone board. This is what interfaces with all the surround microphones and feeds that data to your logic board over here. You've got your display, of course, and your power supply over here. But this little board right here is not only for interfacing with the microphones, but it also has an orientation sensor right here. So the HomePod knows if you've picked it up and moved it around, or if it's upside down, so it goes into firmware restore mode. Is the PSU exposed? You'll just have to hang around and find out. Spoiler, no, it's not. Well, I mean, like that. It's exposed like this. It's not. That doesn't really come with a cover or anything. That's as exposed as it, or covered as it gets there. Minus, of course, we'll slap this subwoofer in. Get the rest of this put back together. Once it looks like a HomePod, you don't see the power supply. Not really sure. Not really sure I understood your question. Why would it want to know if you moved it? Yes, exactly. Shuffle hands is correct, so it can recalibrate. It wants to know if you've moved it. So it's got a few different room correction, real-time audio tuning things going on. It's got a general room correction profile that it applies to its general output, and then it also has the real-time correction that happens, making minor adjustments in real time on the fly. Felix, what is up, what is up? Hope all is well with you. We're doing good here. Can you disable it? I don't think you can. I don't think so. I'm not sure you would want to either. The HomePod isn't really something that Apple designed for you to mess with all that much. It's kind of a one-size-fits-most, and if it doesn't, you're not the demographic kind of speaker. Like, Apple has an idea of what it should sound like and what its experience should be like, and they want to make sure that people don't put themselves in a position where it sounds awful and they don't like it, all due to their own demise. Basically, Apple thinks that they know better what's best for us. And I mean, frankly, they did a great job. It sounds fantastic. I generally don't find myself needing any kind of equalization or tweaking it in any way. You just place it generally anywhere and it sounds great. You get a bunch of them in a room and they all sound great together. Is it normal for the top to get hot? Yeah. Well, in your case, Stefan, yours might be getting a little too hot because we all know that yours keeps breaking itself, right? So it's probably got a hardware issue with that NAND or something. Basically 2 seconds from kicking the bucket and not coming back. But in general, there's they're supposed to get hot. They're a home hub. They're not just streaming music. They're doing all sorts of stuff in the background. So even if you're not using it, pretty normal for them to get pretty warm on the top. There it is, it's alive. Just a dead diode. Let's get Tony up here. See what's going on with it. And up next after Tony is going to be 3635, so we'll shoot them a message. Here they are. Excuse me. Boop, boop, boop. Who is this? 3635, okay. Okay.
I'm having trouble connecting to the...
Yes, I'm sure you are. Alright, very good, very nice. Moving on to the next one. We've got Tony here. With a case of the Blinkies. Let's go ahead and give this a shot with our USB restore here. That'll tell us, point us in the direction if it is a hardware failure, what has failed. But otherwise, if it's just a software issue, we can make it spring right back to life. I'd say, we've gotten a pretty good idea by now, based on our personal experience, what we expect to see with these HomePods with the Blinkies, the blinking volume buttons, boot loops, what have you. I'd say it's like a 50-50 chance whether it's a software or a hardware issue. It's kind of hard to say still because so many people mess with them before they send them in to us, and a lot of them are also, it's physical damage. Kind of annoying that so many different issues can show the same symptoms. it is what it is. Let's get this going. Let's see what it's got for us. All right. Yup. Hey, I got my HomePod shirt on. I don't know if that shows up on camera. Let's go. Alright, let's plug in our USB cable. Let's plug in power. It's already upside down, that's good. Let's run our 3 commands: gas to pwn, gas to reset, and iDevice restore. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Most hardware issues will throw an error pretty early on in the restore progress. Like that. Waiting for NAND. So, this one is unfortunately a hardware issue. That basically means that here's our storage chip. It lives on the main logic board, of course, and it is attached to the board with an array of solder balls, and they love to, you can actually see on this one, they love to corrode and go bad over time. You can see some of those are dull on the bottom here compared to the other shiny ones. They expand, contract, crack, and corrode over time, lose connection, and ultimately cause issues like this. So, this one's going to need another logic board. I am a little tight on logic boards at the moment. I should have more parts pods pulling in over the next few days, so we will be able to wrap this one up for them soon, but for now, we will make a note of it and put it off to the side. And we will get that wrapped up as soon as we can. Oh, you were asking how to remove the power cable. I'll show you how to do that really quick. So as the folks in the chat were saying, all you need to do is hold the HomePod down firmly with one hand, get a little bit of slack going with the power cable in the other hand, and just yank it on out. To get it back in, there's only 2 ways you can put it in, right and wrong. The wrong way, it's not going to hurt anything, it's just going to look funny. But you can see that it doesn't really sit flush, so that's the wrong way. And then, of course, that's the right way, it sits flush. Of course, you need to push it all the way in until it gives a nice, satisfying click. That's how you do it. That's how it's done. Alright, so this one was NAND. Let's put that to the side and grab the next one. Got 3635 here with some bass issues. Excuse me. Some DC filters, bad DC filters perhaps. Let's take a listen for ourselves. And then Rod's coming up next. Rod with 2 HomePods, 3624. Looks like we texted them. Cool. If we clear this queue today, I'll be very happy.
I'm having trouble connecting.
Alright, so that is a fairly loud pop. I mean, all first gens and second gens are going to have a bit of a pop here and there. It shouldn't be too loud, and it's hard to tell by the volume of the popping whether there is an issue or not. You can always play it safer than sorrier and send it in. We're happy to take your money and get it fixed before it does cause more expensive issues. Let's go ahead and get that all fixed up here before, hopefully, we got to it before that subwoofer took the brunt of filters gone bad and roasted itself like we saw in, I think the first repair from today was a little too late. So yeah, upside down puts it in DFU mode. Correct. But also, it has to have 5 volts on the 5 volt line. If it doesn't see 5 volts, then it won't go into DFU mode, even if it's upside down. Kind of like some of the Apple TVs, you gotta temporarily send 5 volts down one of the lines. But anyways, does it show in iTunes? Technically, yes. It does show up in iTunes and Finder, and it just shows up as a HomePod. However, there's nothing else you can do with it. It gives you a restore button, and you can click the restore button, but then it tries to reach out to Apple's servers, and it gets an error because Apple won't give you the restore firmware. Same with Finder. You can click restore, heck, you can even point it to a custom restore file. You can even point it to the restore file that we made that works for these, and it will not work. You have to use our special command line tools. They're not even mine or ours necessarily, it's the guys that made them. But you have to use custom command line tools and a custom firmware file in order to restore the software on these. Like a full firmware restore, not just a go into the home app and reset it or tap and hold the top until it beeps 3 times kind of reset. We're talking a full firmware reinstall. So they basically, that's stupid. We've proven that it's perfectly possible. You can 3D print your own USB adapter, and you can push your own firmware to these things and bring them back to life if it was just a software issue, which in many cases it is. But this whole time, and even still today, they'll say it's a hardware issue and there's nothing you can do to fix it other than pay them for an out of warranty replacement. It's messed up. Also, side note, that came apart really easy for not having any rubbing alcohol to break that glue up. I can't How is our subwoofer? It has survived. Here we are. Here we go. Let's get it some new filters to start, and then we'll see what else it might need here. Oh, there was something extremely important that I just remembered that I needed from my wife while she's out. Hopefully I can text her before it's too late. Okay. Sorry, I had to take that under my own eyes for a second to really get it. What else do we need? Our 10 ohm resistor's looking fine and dandy. We've got a 5.2K data diode here, so that doesn't need to be replaced. That's not going to cause power issues. That looks to be it for this one. We'll get it back together with a new subwoofer gasket so that the old foam one doesn't fail on them. This new solid rubber stuff is, well, it's good stuff. Oh, Meat Man. Welcome, welcome. I just saw your chat there. My apologies. How much you pay for your deep pot? I got it at Goodwill for just a couple dollars. I got really lucky with it. It is just the perfect size. Ah, you can't blame them though. They make some good tamales. Also, Dan. Welcome, welcome back, Dan.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
That is a lot better. Beautiful. Perfect. All right. It is time for Rod's 2 pods. No lights, no power, no nothing. Let's dig in. Rod, welcome. Glad you could make it. 6 silver stones, welcome, welcome. We got a crowd today. Thank you all for joining me. Oh yeah, one of you guys was asking how I cut this so fast. It's only going in a few millimeters, so there's no risk of me cutting anything doing this so fast. You can see on my tool the line there. That's really only about how much I'm actually putting under there. And I use the plastic because this is an electronics PCB. Of course, if we use the metal tool to pry this all the way around up, we're going to scratch it and possibly damage various traces and cause all sorts of issues. But you can see here just a few millimeters deep, heck, even a centimeter, about a centimeter in, you're good all the way around. Being stubborn. I don't need to hit the gym. Subwoofer smells fine. You never know what other issues you might have in here. You never know if you might have just been living with half the bass you could have gotten. It's pretty rare. I've probably, we fixed thousands of these, and out of the thousands of no power pods, probably twice I've opened it up and found also a roasted bass speaker. but it happens. What's so silly is none of that glue does anything good. I rant about it all the time, but there's no reason that hold on. Give me 1 second. I just remembered something I must do. I already did it. I have a battery bank I needed to charge up, and it's a big battery bank, so it takes a while to charge. But I already plugged it in. We're good. But anyways, that glue is obnoxious. It does no good. It serves no practical purpose. Do I dislike going behind someone else's iPod they already failed to fix, or is that a welcome challenge? I freaking love it. I freaking love it. Absolutely welcome challenge. To a degree. Now don't, don't get too stupid with it and then expect me to, perform miracles. But I do love a good challenge. Especially when people have broken traces off and I've got to figure out how to work around it. Or they've just blown off half the components on the board and I've got to basically rebuild it. I love it. I mean, I love it so much that I don't charge you. Typically, I don't charge any extra if you've already tried fixing it yourself. Now, if I end up having to replace a whole board, you gotta pay up for it. But I don't charge you any more if I can fix what you've got than if you had sent it in without trying anything and just had me fix it straight away. One, because I love the challenge, and two, because I don't want to discourage people from trying things. Don't get overconfident. Don't get don't blast through it and then be like, oh, well, I'll send it to Nick. But I do like seeing people try. But I also do like to judge your work, judge other people's work, and fix their mistakes. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we got new fart filters on there. That's an obligatory piece of maintenance on all these things that we crack open. They go bad whether they're being used or not. And I don't ever feel bad about not cleaning up my nice, fancy, clear, no clean flux. Look at all that nasty factory stuff there. I'm never gonna feel guilty about not cleaning my stuff up. When they're shipping you this to begin with. You're sending me a camera to fix? We'll see what we... Well, I'll take a look at it. I'd love to. We'll see what we can do about it. I'll even give you a shipping label so that way you're not spending any money out of your pocket until we can get it fixed. Alright. I don't need to know much about 8mm VHS camcorders. To try stuff. You'd be surprised how similar things are really made and put together. And if they are different, then at the end of the day, they still tend to share very similar electronics and components. Things tend to fail in very similar ways. Why do the filters go bad? That is a good question. Because they are ceramic capacitors, and the crystalline structure of the ceramic over time tends to sort of relax or slack up. It becomes less effective at doing what it was supposed to do. Technically, you don't have to replace them. There is a way to recondition them and bring them back to 100% factory spec again. And that is by bringing them to what's called their Curie temperature, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was like 150 degrees Celsius, and you hold it there for a specified duration. This is all, the temperature and the duration depends on the specific capacitor, but in any case, you can do that, and what that does is it resets their crystalline structure into what they were originally, and bring them basically back to life. And they'll do that whether they're being used or not. They can be sitting in the packaging brand new on the shelf. They're gonna go bad over time. Which is why we replace them even if they're still good and completely unrelated to, like, rods, no power issue here. few years ago when we first started fixing HomePods, we only replaced those filters if they tested bad. But eventually we started having people reaching back out to us, hey, you fixed my no power issue and it's been working. It hasn't had that issue since, but now I've got death farts. And so, even though their filters tested fine at the time of their no power repair, it only took a matter of maybe even months for their filters to soon after crap out and cause a different issue. No power, or not no power, death farts and bass issues. So after, it only took like 2 or 3 people for that to happen to where I said, no, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm just going to replace the filters. Every time I've got one of these things apart, it's going to get new filters. If they're paying for a hardware repair, they're getting new filters with it. Prior to that, I also had no maintenance service. Like, it was, if it works fine, don't send it in. There's no reason to send it in. Send it in when there's a reason to. But now, there's a... You still, like, you're generally fine to not worry about it until it gives you issues. Just don't put it off when it does start to give you issues. It's when it's death farting and you keep using it and you're like, well, I can still play music to it for a few minutes or a few hours before it farts and restarts, so I'll keep pushing it. No, that's when you start having more expensive problems. You're correct. It's not a matter of if, but when they fail. But it's like anything and everything. Nothing will last forever. But in the terms of capacitors, they generally have a shorter lifespan than a lot of other passive electronic components. It doesn't help that it seems like Apple didn't really design the amplifier with, rather I should say, word on the vine has it that they did know this when they designed the amplifier. And they still made certain choices that they shouldn't have with its design. That or they used low quality filters to begin with, so did Apple fix it in the Gen 2? It seems like it. Only time will tell. I mean, I'll say I don't have anybody reaching out to me with death farts or bass issues for their second gens. Second gens have ghost touches and their own problems, you know? But the second gen HomePod is totally different from the first gen. There's they sound very similar. They look very similar, but that's it. On the inside, they're completely, entirely, and incompatibly different. So asking if they fixed an issue in the second gen HomePod that a first gen had is almost a moot question. how did Apple fix one thing and break everything else? They're the master of this. Like, you can't make something, you can't sell something that lasts forever. Like, I don't have to explain this, do I? But like, that's one of the biggest problems is things just aren't simply made to last anymore, be it because it's planned obsolescence or it's the stuff is just simply getting so much more complicated and densely packed that it's unavoidable that the chances of something failing is going to increase over time. I don't know how much I can buy the latter more than the former. The former is just such a simpler explanation, you know. You put less effort into making something last as long, or at least you deprioritize it. So, you know, technically it's still a priority. You know, technically you're still trying to make it last for at least the warranty period. But realistically, you know, as things get more complicated, more feature-packed, more stuff in it, more expensive, like how, you know, it's not so easy, it's not so simple. Which electric screwdriver is this? This is the Miniware ES15. They have a newer version of this out. I have not tried yet, but I am very, 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 very happy with my ES15. It is stronger and faster than any of the other electric screwdrivers that you can find. It is expensive. You're going to pay at least $100 for one of these. Never mind tariffs and all of that now. Good luck. But, man, I love this thing. The one problem is the button tends to have cold solder joints, so if you resolder that, you're A-okay, good to go. Also, inconsistent power output with the motors. It seems like they have varying batches where they more or less work. Like one might have, this one is my original motor and my 10th battery. I keep moving my original motor because it seems like the original motor that I had, my very first one, is the strongest one that I've ever had. Who knows if they fixed that in the second gen, but I'm still really happy with it.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. I'm having trouble connecting to...
Alright. Let's get Rod's second pod fixed. And then let's get out of here. Did Stefan pass out? Did he say he was leaving? It is getting pretty late for him. Alright. Number 2. Same behavior, same power draw, says the kilowatt. Here we go, same fixin'. Felix, yes. Thanks for dropping by. You have a good one as well. Where are we based out of? Yes, we are just right outside of Seattle in Washington. We're in Bellevue. If I ever come to Idaho, I have family that lives in Rathdrum. I'm there all the time, brother. Yeah, I don't know what we do. You're like you're still kind of like 16, right? So we can shake hands and snag a quick photo. But when you turn 21, happy to grab a beer. Maybe shoot some stuff. Heck, I mean, actually, you turn 18, we can go out and shoot some stuff. I got lots of old computers that we can shoot. That's what I save them for, if they're not worth keeping or fixing. I save them to shoot them. Or drag them behind cars out in the woods. Oh no! My camera overheated. Well, hey, just in time. At least we're getting up close here so we can switch the cameras anyways. I'll turn that off and let it hopefully cool off in time for us to turn it back on when we go to put this back together. Let's get this fixed real quick. I don't like Epoch Cam. I like Droid Cam more. I like Droid Cam a lot more than Epoch Cam. Droid Cam for OBS. And yes, they have an iOS app. I can't remember why I didn't like Epoch Cam. I tried it years ago and it just did not work nearly as well as Droid Cam did for me. I liked Droid Cam so much that I paid for its premium version. On both iOS and Android. I paid for it twice. And I'd happily pay for it again if I needed to. Yes, flow. Flow. Beautiful, perfect. The factory couldn't do better. There you go, Northridge. I won't rip you off anymore. Better than factory. How about that? The factory couldn't do better. Nick's fix. I used to pirate things. And, you know, I'll be honest, I still do sometimes. It depends on the thing. But my usual moral goes like, pirate it first if I can, and if I like it, and or if I enjoy it, and or if I find a legitimate use in it, like, I'll pay for it. Like, movies especially. I love to own physical copies of my movies, but also download the highest quality version. Kind of like a free trial that I give myself, you know. Let's get this camera working. There we go. Well, I guess it's a good thing this is the last one. I don't know how much longer that's gonna keep working. Let's get this back together and get out of here before my camera catches fire. Also, on a similar vein, ad block. I do use ad block. I block ads. I also block ads on YouTube, but I also use YouTube. I pay for YouTube Premium, so that way, everybody that I watch on YouTube still gets a cut, and they're not impacted. But pretty much everywhere else, screw ads. also paying for YouTube Premium and not having any ads on YouTube is just worth it alone. And as I get older, that's just I kind of changed like that on a lot of things. I get less, I tend to want to spend less time and effort trying to work around things, and I'd rather just pay a few bucks to have a better, more premium experience, I guess. Just a more straightforward route. But I guess that kind of, in a way, extends to a lot of things. Like, I'm starting to get to the point where there's less and less things that I want to do to my own cars, simply more because I just don't have the time for it. And I can make more money. I almost forgot the rest of the amp screws. Where's Stefan to call me out? Stefan! Like, as I get older, I tend to want to do less and less on my own cars because I just don't have the time, I don't have the energy, and I can usually make enough money in the time it would take me to pay someone else to do it. Tangent. And then it turns around, I turn around and I go and pay a professional to have it done for me, and then it ends up being a complete cluster disaster. But that's geez. Yeah. That's why I just do everything myself. One more. There's one more amp screw that we're missing somewhere. Where does it go? Of course, I bet you it goes right underneath this power supply here. Yep, there it is. Well, like, yeah, I can agree that you and me as two individuals pirating a movie and maybe or maybe not buying it in physical form in the future isn't affecting the studio that much. But part of my guilt comes from, that can't be the same mentality, that doesn't scale, everybody can't think that way and be that way, because then it would affect the movie studios and the actors and the writers and everybody that gets paid for making a movie. But also I guess the reality at the end of the day, most people aren't. I don't know. Kind of an I don't know. Yeah, that I have done away with a lot of my subscriptions. Like I stopped paying for Netflix like a year or two ago. I stopped paying for Hulu like a year ago, which also came with Disney Plus or whatever that cluster is. I'm about to cancel my Plex because I can't justify continuing to pay for something that they refuse to provide actual support for. Like, they straight up do not have customer support. The customer support is going to the forums and talking to other people with the same problems. It's stupid. It's so stupid. And then I guess there's this whole drama going around now about them taking away remote play, which is a pretty big feature from the free tier, I think. And, you know, as somebody that pays for Plex, that doesn't affect me now, but on principle, I'd kind of just rather find an alternative, a free open source alternative that I can run all by myself and bypass most of the issues that I've had with the platform over the years anyways. So I'm about to cancel my Plex. I'm keeping my Apple TV because it just comes with everything else that I pay for with Apple. They won there. Absolute geniuses. That's about it. I've got my internet. I don't have cable TV. I don't pay for cable TV. Legitimately, most of my time I am working and listening to music. So the only time I have to watch something is maybe a few hours before bed. I'll throw on a movie and try to wrangle that kid to sleep at the same time. And if I can get that kid to sleep, then I can do whatever I want for the rest of the night. For the most part. I've heard a lot about Jellyfin. I think I tried it a few years back, and I stuck with Plex. But I think now they will be good enough for me to jump off of. Oh, what's so dumb about Plex too is not only do I have to pay for a subscription for Plex for my own media that I host at my own house, but I also have to pay for a subscription for a player on my Apple TV that doesn't bug out every 5 minutes. We'll save that rant for the next stream. You know, we've always got more HomePods and more stuff to fix. There's always more in the mailbox, so no need to get sad. We'll always be back with more. But for me, thankfully, I can get out of here. That's fixed. We're all done and clear for today. Beautiful. Tell me something about my Wi-Fi. Tell me something about my Wi-Fi. I dare you. Say it. I mean, if I can't find an alternative that makes me happy from Plex, then I am about to say screw it and ditch the Apple TV and plug in a freaking rebuild a media server, a media PC, and just run all the content locally straight to the TV. and use my Sing cells, because I can just use a USB-C audio for those. Airfoil for the HomePods if I really want them throughout the rest of the house, but complain to me, say something. It's thinking about it. I'll give it.
Trouble connecting
Yeah, there
to
we
the
go.
I'm having trouble connect.
All right.
I'm having trouble connecting. I'm having
Yeah,
trouble
yeah, yeah.
connecting to the internet. For more info, check the Home app.
All right, folks, that is it. I hope you all enjoyed this live stream repair, and I hope to catch you in the next one.